In 1962, John Wayne teamed up with Howard Hawks again for the adventure comedy film Hatari. It portrays a group of men that are professional game catchers, and they make their living in Africa, rounding up exotic animals and selling them to zoos. The movie has some amazing dramatic wildlife chases with a gorgeous scenic backdrop of a dormant volcano. It was shot in Technicolor and was filmed in various locations in what is now Tanzania. The lead character, played by John Wayne, is Sean Mercer, who leads this bunch of guys that spend their days capturing animals. His comrades have some of the most amazing, colorful names. Red Buttons is called Pockets, Bruce Cabot is called the Indian, Gerard Blaine is called Chips, while they spend most of their time roping giraffes, zebras, and rhinos. Sean ends up falling in love with a female photographer, played by Elsa Martinelli. In the meantime, the other men begin to notice that their co-worker, named Brandy, played by Michelle Garadon, has grown into a very attractive young woman. The cast of this film is charming, and the action scenes are just great. There's something about this that captures your attention, even though you would think this is a film by John Wayne that would get completely written off. As you warm up to John Wayne's love interest, there's a romantic chemistry that develops between the two. You got to realize that she was over twice the age of Wayne when this film was shot. If you're a Howard Hawks fan, you surely want to see this movie. Despite the limitations and the difference in John Wayne appeal, this movie is a pleasure to watch. It almost has a documentary-type feel. It was in 1960 when Clark Gable had agreed to star in this movie with John Wayne, provided that he received first billing on the opening credits and $1 million plus 10% of the gross. But the problem with this was Paramount just wasn't interested in raising the budget that much to finance having Gable in the movie. So they made some real radical changes to the script. Clark Gable ended up dying 12 days before filming began. And this was immediately after he had finished filming The Misfits from 1961. His offers to do the film were not outrageous in the fact that he was paid $750,000 to film The Misfits, and he got 10% of the net, a figure that would total about $1 million. He really wanted to do 2 films in hopes that he could retire with one of them being a pretty major hit, but that didn't happen. All of the animal captures that you see in the picture were performed by the actors themselves. No stuntmen were used at all. In the movie, you'll see a rhino escaping, and that really happened to them, and the actors had to recapture it. And the director decided to leave that sequence in for its realism. The actors definitely got their work out trying to corral these animals, and it caused most of the sequences to be redubbed due to John Wayne cursing while he was wrestling with the animals. A lot of the critics of this show call it a lazy vacation for the director Howard Hawks. And that probably is partially right, because they really didn't have a totally finished script during the filming. The key to this movie was that it was away from the watchful eyes of the studio that wanted to get their fingers in everything and mess up a director's call on the way the production was done. Hawks happily burned through their $6 million budget that he was allowed. It turned out to be money well spent because it was Paramount's highest grossing film of 1962. The name Hatari means danger in Swahili, and this shoot was completely full of danger. One evening, Red Buttons and John Wayne were playing cards outside, and a leopard came out of the bush towards them. When Buttons mentioned the approaching leopard to John Wayne, Wayne responds by saying, "See what he wants." You would never be able to do a film like this today. People would come out of the woodwork to try to stop it. And one of the things that really stands out to me when you watch this movie is that virtually everybody in it is smoking. I mean, there is continual cigarettes being smoked during the whole film. I don't think I ever recall a movie that stands out more than this one as far as smoking goes. But you got to realize at that time, a lot of people smoked, including physicians. Michelle Garadon spoke no English when she was cast in this role. She actually spent time learning and taught herself some English while she was on the set. The two women in this film are just a delight to watch. John Wayne's character, Kid's Pockets, about his Clyde Beatty routine. Clyde Beatty was a famous lion tamer and co-owner of the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus. He was famous for using a whip and a blank firing pistol. During his act, he would work up to 40 lions and tigers. In addition to the circus, he appeared in several films, and his name was also used as the lead character in a radio show in the early 50s in which his alter ego would recount highly embellished tales of adventure in the wild. A bit of drama was added by portraying the rhino as being too dangerous, yet there was little concern about the Cape buffaloes. While they are smaller than American buffalo, the Cape buffalo can definitely hold its own against a rhinoceros, and it has a terrible disposition. Now, the real highlight of the film is the baby elephants. They're just a blast to watch, but they really had to take care of these elephants in a different way. You see, the hot studio lights that they had beaming down on everybody caused problems for the baby elephants. In order to combat this, they rubbed them down with lanolin. And you also see some scenes where they're getting hosed down by water. This was a great part in the film, but it also served as a way to keep the elephants cool. Now, according to the director, Hawks, John Wayne admitted that he was terribly scared during a lot of the action scenes. They were driving unbelievably fast across these plains, and they had to hold on for dear life. All of a sudden, a bone-jarring bump would hit. There would be rocks in the way and obstacles that would cause the vehicles to bounce around like crazy. Animals were kicking up dirt, rocks were flying. It seems like a disaster waiting to happen, and one can understand why he was frightened when these scenes were filmed. He was out of his element. He was used to being on a horse. Filming in this African environment was no doubt dangerous for the entire production team and the actors especially. All the animals that are pursued are live, wild, and untrained. Capturing animals by chasing them down is banned today. One of the beautiful ladies in the film is played by Michelle Garadon. She plays Brandy and is an integral part of this plot. She was signed to a 5-year contract with Paramount Studios, but was not somebody you saw often in Hollywood films. She played mainly in French films, and then during the 60s, she became romantically involved with a Spanish nobleman. They lived together throughout the 60s. By 1971, her acting career was basically over, and she ended up getting divorced from the Spanish nobleman because he was having a relationship with another woman. She never married, never had any children, and after all this happened, she became increasingly despondent. She ended up taking her own life by overdosing on sleeping pills at the age of 36 in March of 1975. Take a look at this amazingly different John Wayne film. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.